What is up, everybody? Matt Modi here with Jedi Modi Sports Network, and I have 4 sharp picks for you guys to lock in for the NFL betting slate week 6. This is something that I did last week. I started this new series of the 4 sharp picks, and it actually did pretty well. Now, I have struggled immensely with the NFL so far, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend that wasn't the case. At least last week went pretty well. And if you missed it, what I do with these 4 sharp picks is it's 4 total. Obviously, that's what the 4 sharp picks means, but it's 1.5 units on a favorite, and that could just be a team that's favored to either cover the spread or to win straight up. That's 1.5 unit play. It's 1 unit on an underdog that is a money line underdog to win straight up. And then 1 game prop and 1 player prop. I put 1 unit on those as well. Last week, my first time doing this did go pretty well. I got the favorite, the game prop, and the player prop to cash. As you can see on the screen here, the underdog was the only play that missed. And that one hurt Texans money line because they took the lead in the final minutes of the game, and then they gave up the game-winning field goal to the Falcons. That one hurt, but we will take a 3-and-1 day, up 2.5 units on those 4 plays. As for today, obviously, I have 4 more picks for you guys to lock in. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe. All that good stuff helps me out a ton. And let's chat about it. So our first play that we're going to go ahead and lock in here is the Bills. This is our favorite. -14 against the Giants, -108 odds at DraftKings. And remember, this is a 1.5 unit play. And for me, my unit size is to win. So risk a little bit more to win 1.5 units. This is a positive expected value play. All 4 of these plays are positive expected value. That's obviously the most important thing, to have some math backing up your picks. Sharp books either have this at 14.5 or 15, excuse me. And that's obviously pretty important. That key number above the 2 touchdown number is pretty important. Both of these teams are pretty banged up, with the Bills missing 2 of their pretty important defensive players and the Giants missing pretty much everybody. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but that does include Daniel Jones, who might not play with a neck injury. The Bills are a team that are definitely hit or miss, but when they hit, boy, do they hit. So they're 3-2 on the year, and all 3 of their victories have come by more than 14 points. In week 2, they beat the Raiders by 38-10. Week 3, the week after that, they beat the Commanders 37-3. Then the week after that, they beat the Dolphins 48-20. Obviously, they laid somewhat of a clunker, especially on offense, for like the first 3.5 quarters of that game against the Jaguars. But they're coming back. They have a game against a pancake schedule against the Giants, and they have not been shy to blow teams out. And I think that's what they're going to do against the Giants. The official injury report isn't out yet, but these are the players on the Giants that have either not practiced or have been limited in practice this week. We're talking quarterback Daniel Jones, defensive lineman / linebacker Azeez Ojulari, offensive lineman Matt Payart and John Michael Schmitz and Andrew Thomas, wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson, tight end Darren Waller, cornerback Deontay Banks, and then obviously Saquon Barkley. It's insane, the injuries that they're going through, and they're just bad outside of the injuries. They don't need a bunch of injuries to be a bad team. According to DVOA, they are the worst team in the NFL with the worst offense and the 5th worst defense. They're lifeless. They're horrible. The Bills are in need of a bounce back win after last week. I think they get there, cover this massive spread as our favorite pick of the day. As for our underdog moneyline underdog to win straight up, it's the Seahawks +136 odds at DraftKings. Now, if you have been following me along my YouTube channel, you're probably sick of me talking about the Seahawks. This is now the 3rd separate video in which I've talked about Seattle. So if you've already locked them in, you can go ahead and skip this to the next pick. To confirm, only bet it once. I'm not saying to bet it 3 times. It's just come up in 3 separate videos. But if you did miss those, you obviously can still lock it in now. And here are the notes that I went through. Maybe the Bengals turned things around last week when they beat the Cardinals. It was probably their most complete performance of the year. But they also had a pretty good performance in week 3 against the Rams. They followed that up with an absolute stinker against the Titans. And this Seahawks team is ferocious, and they're not a team that you want to face if you have a quarterback with mobility issues. Now, Burrow's come out and said that this is the best that he feels, but he's already gone through a setback, and calf injuries are tricky. So it does make me a little bit nervous for Joe Burrow. And the Bengals also have offensive line issues, and the Seahawks are not a team that you want to play with offensive line issues plus a quarterback with mobility issues. We all saw the Seahawks completely manhandle the Giants, the team that we just talked about on Monday Night Football. And now they get a week off, and now they get to go up against a team that maybe has a quarterback with mobility, maybe not mobility issues, who knows, but definitely offensive line issues. And I'm just not ready to buy the Bengals yet. Even in their good performance last week against the Cardinals, offensive DVOA still had them with a negative DVOA score. And the performance that they put up last week against the Cardinals, if you extrapolate that out to an entire season's worth of performance, at least up to week 6, that would give them the 18th best offense in the NFL. Now they're going up against the Seahawks team that DVOA gives them the best defensive line in the NFL, which sure, some of that has to do with playing the Giants, but they also played and beat the Lions. So it's not as though they've only played bad competition. And overall, Seattle has the 14th ranked defense. The Bengals, meanwhile, have the 22nd ranked defense, the 24th ranked offense, and the 24th ranked team just overall. This includes their win against the Cardinals. So maybe they're back, and this is going to look stupid if they are. That's why we're getting a team to win straight up for plus money anyways. But I'm not necessarily buying it yet. I really do like this Seahawks team. So give me the Seahawks to win straight up plus 136 odds at DraftKings. That's our underdog. Next up, we have our player prop. We're taking Ryan Tannehill to go under 209.5 passing yards. This is at minus 115 odds at BetMGM. Now, this is a play that I was able to lock it in at a 1 yard higher at 210.5. Money is coming in on the over, so it got pushed down to 209.5. FanDuel, meanwhile, has this at 204.5, so a little bit lower as well. My guess is that this passing yardage total will end up a little bit lower. Tannehill, to talk about him, the player, hasn't looked quite as cooked in these past 2 weeks as he did at the beginning of the year, but I still like fading him in this matchup. Now that the Ravens defense has gotten healthy, they've been phenomenal. Again, according to DVOA, they are the second best defense in the NFL with the 4th best passing defense and the 6th best rushing defense. I'm not expecting the Titans to have a good game just overall, and I'm especially not projecting them to have a good game through the air. The Titans so far this year have played 2 of their 5 games against top 5 defenses, and here's how they fared. In week 1, they played the Saints. Tannehill went under this number with 198 passing yards. Week 4, they played the Browns. He threw for a piddly 104 passing yards, Tannehill did. And overall, the Ravens are allowing the 3rd lowest opponent passing yards per game at 175. If you look at the Ravens, they've allowed 3 quarterbacks to go over this number so far, so 3 of 5 games. It is a low total, so that's always a concern. But last week, they allowed George Pickens to go over this. That was on a massive broken play to George Pickens. The Titans offense just doesn't have that type of explosive plays that they can make, at least in my eyes. They don't really have that in their arsenal. So I like Ryan Tannehill to go under his passing yardage number 209.5 as our player prop. And last up, 4th and final pick for this slate. In the Panthers versus Dolphins game, we are taking that game to go under 48.5 minus 110 odds at BetMGM. Now, I like this play a lot for math and analytical reasons. Number one, it's a positive expected value play on OddsJam. If you look at every single sharp book, we're talking Pinnacle, both Circa's, Bookmaker, BetOnline, they either have this total at 48 or 47.5. And it's rare to see the sharp books that different from the book that we're betting it at because NFL lines are so tight. So that is pretty good value. And the other source that I like to look at, FTN Network, DVOA specifically, they have this as their number 1 total play of the week, according to DVOA. They have this total set at 44.5, and we're getting it at 48.5. So to talk about the actual game, I know that it can be scary taking an under with the Dolphins because their offense is just a machine, but for the reasons I mentioned, there are a lot of reasons to like this. Sure, there's always the risk of them hitting this total on their own. That, of course, is a risk. But with any bet, there's always going to be risk. There's no such thing as a lock. If someone is annoyed that a bet you mentioned has risk, then they kind of don't understand sports betting. But regardless, this Panthers offense is terrible. They are the 3rd worst offense according to NFL. Bryce Young missed 1 start, but he started 4. In those 4 starts, they have scored fewer than 20 points in 3 of those 4 starts. And the only game they went over was last week when they scored 24, with that last touchdown coming in the final minutes of the 4th quarter when they were down 20 plus points. Again, there is the risk of that happening again. The Dolphins put up 50 points and this under's cooked, but again, there's no such thing as a lock. There's always going to be risk. And for a lot of reasons, math, analytics, their reasons to like the under. So this is my game prop, my fourth and final pick of the evening. If you are riding with me on any of these 4 picks, comment and let me know. If you're fading me and there's plays that you like instead, feel free to comment and let me know as well. Other than that, remember to like, comment, subscribe. All that good stuff helps me out a ton. Appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.